Hello, everybody. It looks like we are live. I had a little delay there because I wasn't 100% certain. But I'm glad that we are doing this, and I'm glad that all of you get to come on and learn more about batteries. I have recently found, after talking with people about batteries, that I don't know much about them. And I wanted to help some dealers in California go out and sell. I live in California, go out and sell. I knew that with NEM 3 batteries were a very important part of net metering 3. And I understand that it is the way that it's going to go across the country. As I was working with a dealer, Alex Baird, who you'll see here in shortly, he brought up a bunch of questions that I didn't know how to answer. And I thought that was a bit embarrassing because I should know a lot of things about solar. I do about PV and I understand sales and the installation side of things, but it's just sad that I don't know about batteries. So I'm commending all of you for hopping on this and joining us as we learn about batteries. All of you that are on here are probably in the same boat as myself. I have known Franklin batteries to be one of the greater ones. Obviously, we have a lot of hype around the Tesla batteries, the Powerwall 3 when that came out. But they've also hurt a lot of people's feelings because they're not available. And this Franklin 2 that has come out is not quite built like the Franklin 1. And there's a couple things you're going to learn about batteries through this process that are probably going to shift your perspective and mind on how powerful Franklins can be as an option for you and your homeowners. Before we hop into that, I'm shamelessly going to plug SolarCon as we wait for more people to join in. SolarCon is a sponsor of this podcast, and we used a lot of the marketing team to build this podcast and some of the graphics. So while we're waiting for more to join, all of you get to hear me talk about SolarCon. And then we're going to hop over to Haysam, who's the owner of Action Solar that is sponsoring this, and Bobby. And then we're going to go on to the battery training. So thank you all for being early. I'm going to share my screen with you. First off, let me say SolarCon is going to be in Las Vegas this year. It's our first year doing it in Las Vegas, and I'm very excited because it's going to be so fun getting the industry together and going to such a wild and fun place where there's so much culture, so many great restaurants, so much to do. And I think we're genuinely going to create some very strong relationships and have a really good time with each other. First thing I wanted to show you, and for those of you hopping in, I'm just shamelessly plugging SolarCon at the moment. We're going to start the battery training here in about 4 minutes. But I'm going to show you kind of what the map is going to look like here. It's a little bit smaller, but some things that we're doing this year are a little different. SolarCon is not just going to be the event SolarCon. We've also included Danny Pessy's Setter Closer Tour is happening at SolarCon. And Sam Taggart is doing his sales boot camp at SolarCon. It's not just one event that you're getting this year. You're getting multiple events. GoodLeap is coming in and doing a training. And this year, we're actually doing a whole bunch of workshops. These workshops are going to be held in the, we have 1, 2, 3 different stages for SolarCon. Danny Pessy has his stage, and then Sam Taggart will hold his stage and main stage. But we have several workshops going on. That's all we're going to be doing. Abby Buckmiller, who's helping us with strategy, just put together a workshop with John Richards, I believe his name is, out of BYU, and it's going to be on setting a cap table for business. It's going to be on raising capital. We have workshops all over the board for design, engineering, NAPCEP courses for certification for points. We have so many things that are happening. This year, we're taking all of the different pillars of the solar industry, not just sales. We have install, we have the financiers, we have softwares coming in, legal. All of the different pillars are coming to SolarCon this year, and having it in Las Vegas is just going to be a blast. So I wanted to focus real quick on 2 things. You guys all know that we're going to have all of the booths out here for all of your favorite products and all of the new things. We also have these miniature events going on in here. These are private suites for these businesses that are getting these booths so that you can go back and see presentations or lounge in them depending on the business. But the reason it looks this way, the reason we have all of this holographic stuff, the reason we called it Welcome to the Future is because so many businesses have shifted in the last year, as all of you know. New C-suites have been formed, new products have been generated. There's so many new things in the solar industry. Companies have gone out of business, new ones have come in, new financiers. And so with all of the shifts and changes that have occurred, I genuinely believe that the landscape of solar, the way that we knew residential solar in the previous years, has all shifted. So many things are new, and so that's why we're saying welcome to the future. Is this is the future of residential solar. We're about to go see it. I remember the first time we did SolarCon 1, it was the first time we got everyone underneath one roof to join each other and build this network of understanding. So many great things have come out of it. New organizations have been formed. New businesses have been formed. New partnerships are formed from SolarCon. It's one of the greatest things. It's one of the greatest experiences that I've been able to live through in my life. And I'm very thankful for every business and every participant that has come on and joined in the SolarCon game, because it's a fun network. So let me finish up real quick and show a couple things that I'm excited about at SolarCon. You guys get to see behind the scenes real quick. This is our rudimentary drawing in PowerPoint that we're going to send off to the CAD developers over at the hotel, and they're going to create the actual drawing to build this project here. But here's all the booths. The one I want to focus on right here is called the Future Forum. And for me, it's difficult sometimes to go up to booths and hear them and listen to everything that they're going to say. Sometimes I'm a little bit shy. I don't want to take too much time away from all of my networking and socializing. But what we're going to do is we're going to have tables like this, assigned tables and banners off to the side that are going to say things like, this table is going to be the AI table. This is going to be talking about batteries. This is going to be talking about entrepreneurship. This one's going to talk about generating leads, sales organizations, gamification, any of these topics that have come up in the industry, sales compliance, any of these topics, domestic content, they're all going to be assigned a table. And so you can actually go sit down, you can look at the list, see what table it is, go and sit down and have organic conversations with people at SolarCon, whether they're experts or they want to learn, or you want to teach people. These tables right here in the Future Forum, I think is one of the things I'm most excited about. Another one I'm really excited about, Abby Buckmiller put this one together, are these, let me zoom in here a little bit. That's not a zoom in. Is the VIP room. If anyone's been to SolarCon, you know our VIP room is huge. We're going to have live music, but these booths right here are actually going to be private booths, true to Las Vegas style. If you don't want to get a booth at SolarCon or do a sponsorship, then you can get one of these and conduct and hold all of your meetings and businesses right inside of here. If you're just attending to go and have fun and learn, these are the tables. We're going to have live music in a bar that sees through to the public side of the bar. The only way you can get into here is if you have VIP access. Here's the public side, and you'll be able to see directly through the bar into the VIP lounge area. You'll be able to see all the stuff that's going on, hear the ambient music, and then you will go right out. Let me show you in context where this is. Here is the VIP room right here. You'll be able to go right outside of here and go to main stage and go see all of the fun stuff that's happening out here. Anyway, I would love to have all of you come to SolarCon. We built it for the industry. It is not a sales pitch conference. This is an education-only conference. All of these workshops that you're going to go and be able to attend, you're going to gain so much knowledge to take back home and talk with your business partners, or talk with people that you want to be business partners with, or even talk to your salespeople. We have sales training from some of the most popular people out there that love to train on sales, and we have training from installers, financiers, training from softwares. And we are even this year, we're bringing people way outside of the solar industry that are coming from colleges, like professors that are coming to teach. If you guys have heard of Dirty Dough Cookies, my buddy Bennett Maxwell, he built a company called Switch to Solar, and they ended up selling that. And he took that money and he built a cookie company called Dirty Dough that competes with Crumble. And he now has like 200 franchises across the country. And this guy, his mentor, is actually the mentor of several people in the solar industry as well. He understands business in a very large way, and he's coming to speak at SolarCon. And we couldn't be more excited about him. We also have some celebrity speakers that we haven't announced yet, but SolarCon is going to be great. Thank you all for listening to that. Now we're going to go to hear from Haysam, who is the CEO and owner of Action, who has sponsored this event. Then we're going to hear from Bobby, and then we're going to go on to the battery training. All right. Haysam, come on up.
Thanks, Jake. Hello, everyone. I'm Haysam Sakar, CEO of Action Solar. And before I start introducing myself and give some key points, I honestly have to I'm super impressed with how SolarCon has come in the last few years, especially with this new learning dynamic that they're providing. And I believe it brings so much value into the business, and I'm so grateful for it. I definitely will have my entire team come in to learn about all the different aspects of the business. And I know that we're currently going over the battery storage, but a few things about Action Solar. We've been around since 2018. We serve commercially in 28 states, residentially in 5. We're a huge focus in California right now. We, as a company, have been seeing all the changes in the market, all the new need for battery storage, and all the moves that have been happening in the last years or so. A little bit about myself. I currently serve on the board of the Residential Solar Association as the installation specialist. I also serve in our city's planning commission, so I have a lot of talk and conversations with cities and government bodies about solar and about net metering and what's coming. I have also lobbied in our state in the last couple of years for advancing the solar a bit more in where we're headquarters in Utah. Our company is unique in many ways. We currently have a great investor mix. One of our board member is the gentleman that took Q-Cells public in Germany about 11 years ago. The other cap table mix are an entertainment and renewable energy specialist. So we have a great opportunity to be able to serve everyone in the market on most of the current need. Our existing mission is to provide freedom for our future, our energy future, financial future, and how to help the consumer understand what battery is. When I heard from Jake that this is what we're doing today, and he's bringing in Franklin, I have a Franklin in my house. I have one, and now I'm really curious to get the Franklin 2. And I can tell you that it works great. I love it. We've been working with Franklin for a while, and currently what we need to show the importance of why battery storage is needed. We need to understand why it's so important that batteries provide grid stability and renewable energy integration. It's something that can help our country to be a little bit more hedged against any of the changes that's currently happening and the amount of new energy need that we have. We also, have to know that the application of residential right now is needed with the existing demand. California is big on this, and if you go sell in California, it would be awesome to understand how battery works in order to have it be a well-informed organization to improve the consumer's experience and qualify them for the need. So just understanding that and knowing who to work with, how to sell it, ask all the questions. Franklin is here to answer all the questions about batteries. I know they're very well educated, very well informed. They know how to install, how to show us how to install. They help us with the training. They show how to sell, and they can talk about the key technologies right now that they use and what's coming up, and as far as market trending and growth. So we see more and more storage adoption, and that's mainly because they improve efficiency and a declining cost with the improved technology. We also see that the government incentive right now help with the battery adoption, which we need tremendously. So I think that's all about Action Solar and what's going on. I'm so excited for SolarCon. It's going to be a fantastic opportunity. Thank you for putting all that together, Jake.
Yeah, thank you, Haysam. And you guys are in 27 states, right? 27.
Right.
What's that?
28 as of this week.
28 states. My goodness, big company. And they've been hiding a little bit from the industry as I know it. And so I'm super happy that they're coming out, being loud and being public a little bit more, because Haysam is one of my favorite people in the entire solar industry. And I love that I get the chance to work with him and look up to him as a mentor. He's done incredible things in his life. So if anyone gets to work at Action and work with Haysam, I consider him one of my mentors. So thank you, Haysam.
And thank you,
Haysam, you work with Bobby. Bobby, how you doing?
Doing great. How are you, Jake?
Hey, good. We're going to go off and do the battery training here right after Bobby. But Bobby, I wanted you to come on and say a few words about what you do at Action.
Yeah, definitely. No, I'm VP of Business Development at Action Solar, and I've been in the industry for a long time, and I've been working with dealers for the last 8 years. And I'd probably say one of my favorite things to do is just making sure that we're all educated in this space. It's changed so much over the last 10 to 15 years. And so putting these trainings on together is really crucial, I feel like, and partnering with a company like Franklin, like we do, is super exciting. And I'm excited to go through this training together and see kind of some of the key points on, hey, how can we help sell these batteries better? How can we fit the system so we're actually taking care of the customers? So definitely excited today to sit with Franklin and learn on this.
Yeah, thank you, Bobby and Haysom. They're going to be coming back on after the battery training. So Bobby, Haysom, thank you for joining up here and explaining about Action and putting this thing on for us. We're very thankful. I would love to learn about batteries.
Of course.
All right. Next up, and you'll have to excuse me a little bit. My voice is a little bit shaky because I'm sick. But next up, we have Alex Baird. Alex Baird is the one that brought up a lot of questions that I didn't know about. It's a bit embarrassing. So I thought I would give him a platform to come up and ask all of the experts at Franklin how batteries actually work. And with us, we have Justin Hopkins from Franklin. Many of you may recognize and know him. He's the one that goes out, and I see him in all the places. He's friends with all the people. So if you don't know Justin, you should reach out. Very kind guy. Jordan and Tristan. I'm going to hop off stage, but why don't you guys all introduce yourselves? And then Justin, Tristan, and Jordan, why don't you guys hop into that training that everyone's here for?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Jake, for hosting. Appreciate you putting on this event. And Alex, thanks for being our devil's advocate in the corner here, keeping us honest. Jordan, why don't you introduce yourself since I'm going to be taking off with the presentation?
Yeah, totally. Thanks, Justin. My name is Jordan Dollarhide, and I'm the Marketing Relationship Manager at FranklinWH. My primary role here is working with our installer partners to ensure that they have the resources, tools, strategies, whatever they need to be successful marketing the FranklinWH product. And with that comes a lot of partnership. So that's something that FranklinWH really believes in, is that one-to-one partnership with our installers to make sure that they feel supported, that they have everything they need. And part of that is that they have a dedicated person, myself, that's able to work with them directly to make sure that they have everything. But background, I've worked in installation for solar for a few years. I also was at a distribution partner. And then I came over to Franklin because Franklin was just that good. So that's a little bit about me.
You're awesome, Jordan. Thank you. We're so lucky to have you, and not only great experience of learning what to do, but also what not to do. Right? It's kind of the
Absolutely. I've seen it all.
I had a question for Justin, Tristan, and Jordan. Did you guys want to be on one at a time, or did you guys all want to be on stage at the same time?
No, I think we can be on stage at the same time because
Yeah.
we all, this is a team here, and we
Okay,
like
great.
our approach. Yeah.
Okay, great. And then I'll kick myself back off stage. But before I do, all of you audience members, everyone listening, I'm going to be monitoring the questions. And if you see one, let me give you an example here. Jake is awesome. Yes, Jake is awesome. I can actually put it on the screen, and they can read your question just like that. Hey, Tristan, what's up? That comes from Scott.
Scott, good buddy.
So if you guys have any questions in the audience that you want to ask, and Alex hasn't asked that question, this training is for you. So feel free to do that. I'll be monitoring that on the backside. Jordan,
Right.
Thank you for introducing yourself. Tristan, go ahead and tell us who you are.
Yeah, thanks, Jake. Good to see Scott on there. We've been working really closely on some projects. My name's Tristan. I'm a product manager with Franklin. My primary responsibility is to assist our team and our installation partners with application-related questions, taking feedback and implementing that into the product roadmap, making sure our finger is on the pulse with market trends, regulatory transitions, and basically aligning our product with what the needs are of our clients, both installers and end customers. So excited to be here and happy to go into some of the details of our solution.
Right. If you guys want to find Tristan in his best form, it's on like a Toto Santos wave. So he's a fun Google if you guys need something to do after this webinar. And yeah, guys, my name is Justin Hopkins. I am the Senior Director of Strategic Accounts for Franklin Whole Home. also known as employee number like 4 or 5 here, I think. So it's been a pleasure to kind of work through, you know, a product that really was built for the industry. You know, when we brought Franklin to, you know, to installers everywhere, the original goal was, you know, again, this was 3 years ago, but there was a Tesla shortage. There were limited options for whole home battery. Enphase Sunlight was trying to make a breakout. Just the overall storage market was kind of in disarray. And, you know, when I think back when we started, right, it was a pretty good time in solar. NEM was ending in California, which meant you guys were all selling like 75 deals a month between February and March. Batteries have really played a major role, right? Not only in the success of you guys as sales folks out there, you know, bringing this energy and giving it more efficacy. You know, batteries really are infrastructure that supports the solar. But it's also been a lesson for a lot of installers on how to stay profitable, how to manage this new, expensive, difficult product to install. So reliability, as well as performance, has become, you know, important metrics in success in this market. But there's a lot of little nuances that we're going to talk today so that we don't end up like what the future solar industry could be coming, right? I do want to start this off with a little exercise that Jake helped me put together, which is called What They Say and then What Ben Says from Franklin, right? Self-awareness is important, and knowing who you are and what others are saying about you never hurt anybody. So I'm going to start off with something I hear quite often, right? What we hear about Franklin, what they say is Franklin is heavy. And this is not a lie. Our original product that we brought to market was 410 pounds, nearly 500 pounds when you take all the packaging and everything and the pallet in together. So an extremely heavy product. And they weren't lying, right? We've actually lost some weight with the aPower 2. But what we also did, right, was create the Franklin Whole Home Lifting Dolly, right? This is easy to use. You can get the batteries off the truck. You can get them up out of the box, and you can get them up onto the wall, really with just a couple people. But again, you know, safety standards, whatever your installers are doing, please do abide by that, right? Don't try to get too creative. These are not only heavy, but they are expensive, right? And I always say that quality power electronics costs more. I don't know if you guys are musicians. I'm a big music guy, and I have a bunch of guitar amps, and a couple of those are cheap little guys, and they weigh about 20 pounds. But I have a tiny little Vox amp that will throw your socket out picking it up if you don't prepare yourself, right? Because it weighs about 120 pounds, even though it's only 16 inches tall. It's another thing we got. What's that? So what they also say, right, is that Franklin Whole Home isn't modular enough, right? Who needs a 15 kilowatt hour battery? That's too much power, right? There's homes that need little intervals, right? Maybe 5, 10, or 20 kilowatts, right? Well, a couple reasons for that, right? Number one, what homeowner do you know that actually doesn't need 15 kilowatt hours of storage? Because when we break that down into a daily cycle, that's only 5,400 kilowatt hours a year for a 15 kilowatt hour battery. While the average solar system in California that's sold is 8.1 kilowatt. That's going to generate on the low end around 12,400 kilowatt hours a year. So maybe you get where I'm getting at, right? This is a very small percentage of the power that you're producing from your solar system. Another reason why we like the more powerful standalone battery is just purely the ability to pack more power into a smaller space. All right. There's a lot of code restrictions and a lot of things that come into designing these batteries, depending on where you live, and which of these two designs would you rather have in your garage? All right. Another thing, you've probably thought it, you've probably heard it on the market, right? Franklin's expensive. Well, what Ben says is that it's probably going to cost more if it has more power, 50% better warranty, better reviews, more integration and features, and is safe for your family. All right. You know, we've done some incredible testing as a product, and we know that this product can handle a lot. Another thing, what we hear, and let's be honest, right? The times, they are a-changing. For lack of a better words, we've basically been called young, inexperienced, unbankable, and Chinese. I've heard cheap Chinese. I've heard every reiteration of the term Chinese. But the funny thing is, almost every battery that is out here right now is using Chinese components, right? And a lot of these batteries have had almost a decade and a half in the industry to figure out how to do things right, yet they continue to release products that are always subpar or underwhelming, all right? So I'll tell you a little bit about Franklin, where we come from, where we got in here before we get into the nuts and bolts of how storage works. Franklin was founded in 2019, and we keep our headquarters in San Jose, California, with our manufacturing both in China as well as in the USA. We've got over 340 employees, and 70% of those are guys sitting in a back room blowing stuff up. It's the coolest thing I've ever seen when you get to go to our lab overseas. Some of the most experienced power electronics engineers in the world, right? These guys are coming from Emerson Power, different inverter companies, but they are literally, when I went to Shenzhen last year to see the aPower 2 in its early development, it was being cooked in an oven while plugged into a solar system at 158 degrees. Another cool fact about Franklin is we are financially strong. A lot of people, though we're young, we were extremely well funded, whether it's Sequoia Capital or Particle Future. We've seen, Wall Street's been tapping on our door ever since. And I mean, again, I know I mentioned this earlier, but every battery on the market, including Tesla and Enphase, have been using components from China, right? And manufacturing in China. It's just, it's the standard practice, but we do it in a way that we feel is so much better, right? Most of these products see 3 to 4 different field beta tests before they actually land into the beta test that you installers test. From there, right, we do even more charters until we are confident that the product's ready for the US market, because that's what we've always been focused on. We didn't release this product or sell it anywhere else. We started here in the United States. And we'll be one of the first to be fully manufacturing in California in Milpitas by the end of this quarter, right? So super excited about that, and was just at our factory last week. On top of that, you've got support.
Yeah, Justin.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm wondering, as you're talking about these, if I pop some questions up here, if you can address them.
Of course, please.
Or do you want me to wait till the end?
No, we're good.
All right.
But I need a battery for consumption only. Why do I need 15 kilowatt hour? That's a great question, right? So I'm going to address that in some slides coming up in the next one. And if we still need to talk about it, you tell me. Same thing with what's the LRA. So let's do this. Let me go for about 5 more minutes, Jake. And then let's pop through the questions, because I think we're about to answer most of the ones that are on the screen.
Yeah, that's perfect. I just want to make sure that you see those popping up. I didn't know the appropriate time, and now I do.
I love your style, man. Honestly, you can pop in anytime you want. I kind of like it.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. And as you guys know, I'm a big fan of Jake, and most importantly, puts a lot of effort into giving this industry its roots, right? My grandpa always told me a story. You can either be an apple picker, right, or an orchard farmer. There's not a lot in between. And you kind of choose your stance when you start, and appreciate, what Jake's taken, what he's learned in the industry, and what not to do, what to do, and really honed it into a lot of goodwill. So, the last thing of my hype on Franklin before we get into the 101 of solar, right, is we are a new company, but we are constantly innovating, right? We were the first to introduce these smart circuits installed in the gateway, the first to bring 200 amp generator compatibility to a residential battery, the first to introduce the aPbox, which literally allows you guys to install up to 45 kilowatt of solar with no MPU, no main panel upgrade. And the first high capacity LFP standalone battery to make an impact on the market. Also, the first battery with a retail partner, and the first to allow 100% usable capacity on the nameplate rating, right? All of these things are really kind of the backbone of what Franklin likes to do, which is under promise and over deliver. But to understand why, right, we got to understand kind of the 101, right? What actually matters to homeowners. And to do that, you have to stay out of the weeds entirely. When I was selling solar, I used to use the example of water as that the solar panels generated water and it needed a place to go. If your appliances couldn't consume it, that water flowed out of your panel, reversed your meter, and went directly to the next power source, which was your neighbor's house. Right. So now as we come into where if that water flows out of your house, it's costing you money, right? The battery now becomes this water tank. So it's very simple, right? When do you use water? How do you use water, right? The utility is a master water system for everyone. It can be beneficial or it can be costly, right? And your appliances are the faucet, right? So simple analogy to understand, hey, why do I need a battery, especially in self-consumption only? There's 6 important factors we're going to discuss that I think are going to really help you understand why I need to do what I do here. So let me move into this. I'm sliding on the wrong slides here. Here we go. Now you guys seeing what I'm seeing? Perfect. So batteries have 6 important factors. You've got your capacity, right? How much power do I have access to? How long can I run it? How much can I save and how much can I make? So when we're looking at a person that's using self-consumption, that's usually to avoid using grid energy. So it's really how much energy are they avoiding, as well as, right, how much energy are they capturing out of the system that they invested in. Now, output, right, that's going to relate to what can I power, and that's also going to have incentive implications for your rebates. Because if you're in Duke, right, if you're in Duke or one of those regions, right, those rebates are paid off of the output of the battery, the amount of supply you can bring to the grid in terms of reverse demand, whereas S-chip, right, rebates are typically based on capacity of the battery. The next thing that's really important, and believe it or not, has huge financial implications, is going to be the reliability. Right? Did your customer get incentives for this battery? Will it better work for the duration it's supposed to? Right? Otherwise, they are liable to owe money back to that utility for the money they took. Right? And also, can I count on it to work when I need it? Right? You only have so many power outages. And I can't tell you, I can only imagine what it was like for all those homeowners that got installed by Pink Energy that had bad Generac systems that didn't work when those hurricanes hit. Right? They spent $50,000, $60,000, and for the 2 days they didn't have power, it didn't work. So it's a super important moment, right? That they've got a reliable product that operates simply. I always kind of joke when you're picking your batteries, it depends what you're using it for, right? Is it, do I want an Apple Watch in a storm? If the most important thing is I got to get back on time, or do I want a Rolex, right? Something that operates analog. Something that once I know it's charged is going to just move and move and move, right? Cog by cog. UL rating. While it's kind of a dorky thing, I'm sure none of you can speak to the UL of any of the batteries that you sell. That's going to determine whether it can go outside in your garage. Is it waterproof for hurricanes and storms? Is it a fire hazard that you shouldn't put next to your cars, right? Is it going to help you avoid costly electrical upgrades like main panel upgrades? And as Jake so aptly told me, we got to talk about cost, right? And I don't think it really necessarily comes down to the price of it as much as, can I afford it? And do I want to pay for it? Right? Those are 2 things that seem to really be the thing that make buyers move. Never the price, right? And then something maybe we don't discuss, right? All of these all these manufacturers, they want you in their ecosystem because they can own the lifetime value of that customer you installed on, right? What's the future forward capability of the product you're installing for the customer? Like, what can they do in the future because they bought this now, right? I like to joke with the Franklin, if you can generate 240 volt energy via your grandma running on a gerbil wheel, we'll take it. So real quick, I'm going to slide up and I want to talk a little bit about the history of energy, and then we're going to take some questions on the battery after we go through these next slides. But let's make sure you guys all know who made DC, who made AC, right? Thomas Edison. He's the inventor of DC energy. This guy got rich, right? Bell is a massive, massive company. He became GE. Thomas Edison was the inventor of direct current energy. Now there's Nikola Tesla, right? The crazy inventor. His name is taken. He was the inventor of AC energy. But what a lot of people don't know is that our boy Ben Franklin actually coined the term battery. Fun fact. Something you learn every day. Now, he wasn't the first to create the chemical battery, right? That was Alessandro Volta, who made the chemical compound for it. But Ben Franklin actually came up with the term battery and was one of the first guys to mess around with trying to use jars as conductors to store the energy temporarily. So kind of fun fact to take into it. So I want to talk a little bit about the battery, and we'll answer your questions, because I saw questions on LRA, capacity, all of that. The Franklin aPower 2 specifically is a 15 kilowatt hour capacity, right? And we give you 100% access to that battery. It's actually, what a lot of people don't know, a 16 kilowatt hour. We don't tell customers that because we keep that reserve in there in case your customers accidentally drain the battery all the way through. The system can still be started up by the solar panels or the grid the next day without killing the battery. Another feature of the Franklin is its 10 kilowatt continuous power, right? You guys know kilowatt because solar, right? I know it's going to generate this much power, but kilowatt also can be a substitute for the word amps when referring to batteries. That means the system is 42 amps continuous, technically 41.6, and can ramp all the way up to 15 kilowatt or 64 amps surge per battery for 10 seconds. Holds an LRA of 150. That's what we advertise, but in actuality, we've seen it in lab tests go as high as 185. But again, we're trying to underpromise, over-deliver here. So the reality is 150 is a perfect startup to take down a 5-ton AC. We're happy with that. Important to know, this is an AC coupled battery. What that means is you're going to need an inverter for your solar panels to work with the aPower 2. Good news is it can be Tesla, Enphase, SolarEdge, SMA, Xantrax, any of the Hoy Miles, any of the brands out there that you choose to work with. But the cool thing about Franklin is it's not being built on site. I know you've seen that with some of our competitors where guys got to put the whole thing together and hang it on the wall. This comes out of the box, a fat 364 pounds, ready to install, ready for off-grid use. So these are actually used to power construction sites that couldn't get power to them. So rebar benders, compressors, table saws, buzz saws, and yes, the battery is waterproof, IP67. And let's stop for questions now, Jake, and let's see what we can answer here. Oh, Carl Goodman, can I answer this one? LRA stands for locked rotor amp. For information. So let's talk it. But I only need a battery for consumption. Why do I need 15 kilowatt hours? It's a great question, and I want to take you guys into something here. I want to show you something. How about a 10 kilowatt solar system? Let's talk about this here. Self-consumption only. Right? So I installed a 10 kilowatt. I'm planning to use all my power. I'm just doing grid. I don't worry about backup. So you sold this customer 10 kilowatts because he uses 15,000 kilowatt hours a year and gave him one battery. And that's because, well, the sun's out all day, right? And then it's just dark for half the time. Oh, come on, guys. We know better than this, right? 80% of that energy, 70% of that energy is generated in a very short period of time during the day, between 10:30 and 2 p.m. Right? The rest of that energy is what we call shoulder energy, right? It's not as power, it's not at full power. That means unless you have a lot more power than for this customer's 41 kilowatt hour a day, that 15 kilowatt hour battery you got him, he needs to use all that energy in about a 5-hour span. Right? In reality, even if the customer uses 60% of their energy, well, it's dark and during those peak hours, which most people do, you're still going to have some lapses, right? You're still going to have some gaps where power ends up on the grid. This can best be discovered through interval data. So if you are selling in California or in a market where it allows you to use green button data, I highly recommend that you put that into your proposal tools. I'm sure Action has that all dialed out for you guys, but use that interval data to make sure that you're sizing these properly. If your customer is a massive day consumer and they use all their energy between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m., then they might be fine with this, right? Because capacity is a really big thing. And capacity is not only how long can I run my battery, but it's how much can I save, and then how much can I store, and how much cost can I avoid. It has a lot of different implications. Whether you're in an outage and we're looking for 2 days, 3 days, trying to manage that, or whether it's just trying to avoid energy and maximize my export rates while the you know, while the export rates are up, you know. So like if I'm just trying to put as much power to the grid as I possibly can, because I get $2.30, there's always going to be a reason where high capacity is king.
Justin, I wanted to make sure, we still have a couple more questions. Can I pop those up there? Or are you still answering?
No,
Okay.
Go ahead.
And then Alex, for everyone that's on here, Alex is the main question asker, but I am watching you, Alex, and it looks like you were just retaining some
I'm learning.
information.
I'm learning.
Yeah? All right, so here's a question here.
Yes. Rishi, we would love to talk more about that. And I'm going to bring in Tristan to talk a little more about VPP and what we're doing in that space in a little bit.
Oh,
We've got
cool.
a lot to cover today, guys. Don't worry. We're on slide 29 of 58.
Here we go, baby. We're in for the ride.
I put some work in for this one.
Next question.
Fantastic. So let's go by what's on paper. All right. So the warranty is a 15-year warranty. And we're gonna dig into those data. But the reality is, if the customer isn't using all of the battery every day, or it's sitting there as a backup battery, these things could last for a really long time. I've been doing solar for 18 years, and I have customers that have systems that have never had a problem. I know it's hard to believe, but they're sitting on 18 years of perfect function, like an old SMA or SunPower inverter that's 20 years old. It's crazy. So the goal here is that the product should last as long as the system you're installing for the homeowner, right? It probably will last longer. Again, it depends on how you use it. If you use batteries every day and you drain that thing, yeah, you're gonna run out of life. But the good news is you got your money's worth. So either way, it's a win-win.
I heard those batteries, the life.
Is there a warranty on that, Justin?
Yeah, we're gonna dive into it. So I'm gonna talk a little bit more about the product. I actually got 3 slides.
I heard the batteries are like it's hard to tell the life expectancy, because on a car, you don't know if you get someone that's gonna push the gas and try to go 100 miles off the line as fast as they can, or if they're gonna just slowly trickle their way. Like the way that it's used, the weather that you're in, there's a lot of variables to the life expectancy. Is that right?
Oh, 100%. In fact, it's so funny you said that. When I was actually over in Shenzhen, I was seeing all of these cars in China, like these new battery cars. And they're saying now these new commercial cells are similar, the equivalent of driving a car 2 million miles.
Wow.
All right, we have a couple more questions that I want to get up. Eric Thorpe Johnson, how you doing from Hawaii? Miguel Lopez asked, will Franklin integrate with other battery brands?
Not likely. We've seen systems where Franklin is installed where other batteries existed. Clever use of breakers in the panels, but no, we're open to everything, right? But just not their batteries. So any inverter, right? We integrate with a bunch of different products, but I don't know how that would work. Great question.
All right, and then I do have about 3 more questions, and then we can go on with your slides. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. This one's a bit lengthy. There is a question in there. Typically, or I'll just let you read it. It's a bit easier that way, isn't it?
Yeah. No, this is good. Typically, it's good to use Franklins for an add-on or system expansion because the legacy system will be able to help charge the Franklin as well as the new system. In a Rule 21 non-export system, will this still allow the legacy system to charge the new Franklin under NEM-MT interconnection for on-grid and during a power outage? This is a great question. We're going to be talking about this on the aPbox later. But Tristan, why don't you give them a short summary real quick?
Let me chime in here. Yes, it can. So Franklin has the most unique value add for the NEM-MT configurations, where we can actually connect the legacy solar system to the load side of the MID, meaning that not only will that be able to charge the battery, but it'll also be available to the customer when the grid goes down. So we are the only manufacturer that can do that, and we have some diagrams. We'll talk a little more about it later on in the presentation, but very, very good question. If you do come across these non-export NEM-MT systems, you should definitely be leading with Franklin because we bring the most value to the customer.
Right. I'd love to speak to Gregory's question next. when he's, or not Gregory's, Eric, on the 600.
Eric's question.
Yeah.
Maui Solar, that's how I know him. Eric came in, excuse me, spoke at SolarCon. Very insightful, very knowledgeable.
Awesome. Well, I mean, guys in Hawaii know what's up, right? They've been living in a non-NEM world for a long time. They've literally, every battery in the market has beta tested on them. So they've seen all the Gen 1 versions you guys didn't have to sell, right?
If you guys, as you're answering these questions, can simplify these questions in layman's terms, because I don't know what you guys know. This is insane stuff to me.
Yeah, this is actually, I'll make it really easy, right? Sometimes larger houses have more than 100, 200 amp service, right? That thing's like a 400 amp service. We have a house, a big ranch that is being sized with Franklin's right now that has a 2000 amp service, right? And typically when you have that kind of service, what that means is you're going to have what are called downstream panels, right? So after the main service load that's rated at 2000 amps, I'm going to have all these panels, typically no larger than 200 amps, that are connected to that service. When you do Franklin, you can easily connect to those systems, right? What you're going to do is you're going to use multiple gateways, Eric, to identify and separate each of those power sources so that we can manage them properly. And they'll essentially be independent systems, but when you look on the Franklin app, it's all as one. It's really cool. Happy to dive into that deeper. And for those of you that have engineering questions, you can reach out to engineering@franklinwh.com for your SLDs and stuff. So yeah, it's a fantastic product for 400 amp, 600 amp, 800 amp services. See it all the time. And one of the cool things is we have a 200 amp pass through on our MID device. So it's going to make your life really flexible and really easy for your electricians to be able to do these bigger jobs too. So yeah. I think the rest of these are going to be addressed. So
okay, so Susan's, and then here's a good one.
Yes, Jake, I know you're recording this, and then what we'll do is, I think actually, Jordan, maybe you can find a way to upload this or create a link, put this into our assets that we're creating here, and we can share a link onto the chat that everybody can see the slide deck.
Yeah, and we can get you guys whatever you need. So I'll let you go on with the presentation. It looks like what's the email for your engineering team? Or let's see.
Engineering? Here. Yeah, engineer. I'll type it in here. engineering@franklinwh.com.
All right, we're gonna keep going on with this training. Sam asks, what's the simplest way to explain to a customer what an A gate is? I also don't know what an A gate is. So
it's coming up
next. Is this something we're going to go over later, or is this a good time?
It's coming right up.
All right.
Here we go, baby. Clutch contact, right? So we were talking about capacity as we transition out of that. Lost power is lost money. I want to remind you guys that. And we're going to reference this in a minute on a couple important topics. One of those main ones, right, is what is AC coupling versus DC coupling? What's the real value here? Right? Because Tesla's made it really cheap for everybody, right? I've just got an inverter, and the inverter also can power the battery, and that can power my house, and it all goes through this little meter collar. I don't have to relocate loads. That's amazing, right? Comes with its limitations. The main thing being that you're only as powerful as your inverter. So that's awesome that you installed a 16 kilowatt for the customer, but that inverter is only rated to give them 11.5 kilowatt of AC power, right? And when you have solar going and your battery, you're not seeing any more than 11.5 kilowatt to the home. Whereas with Franklin, I put on a solar system, I connect that to the inverter. That's its own power source, right? The solar system has its own thing connected through the A gate, right? Now my battery is its own power source, and I have twice as much output to the house. So if I'm in Arizona, if I'm in these hot markets where I've got 2 ACs running all the time, I really need this kind of support during the day to be able to keep my batteries charged for at nighttime. Otherwise, right, with our competition, you've only got a 5 kilowatt charge rate, which means that huge delta between how much solar I'm producing that I installed for the customer on the roof, all those panels. This is the ultimate clip job, because not only can they only go 11.5, but I can only charge the battery at a max 5 kilowatt charge rate. Whereas Franklin, not only can you get more power during the day out of the panels, but you can charge it more power, which means you're going to lose less in non-net metering markets potentially saving 60% more for those oversized systems. I know it's a lot to process, but that means with the AC coupled Franklin aPower 2, you have twice the output of power. And another advantage of AC coupling is what happens when the grid goes down, right? Let's say you lose that grid power. One of the things we're best at is islanding, right? Enphase made this very popular. They do it very well as well. But this is when the controller for the battery system can now create a grid for all the power sources that are not grid connected. All right, so get grandma running on the gerbil wheel, plug in your Ford Lightning, you got your battery, I got my car, I got my generator. I've got all these things I can use now as multiple power sources into the home. Oversized systems do not typically work during the middle of the days with your single battery. So if you're out there selling a 10 kilowatt for the customer, telling them they're going to have multi-day power with a single battery, they're not. In fact, they're probably going to struggle to charge their battery during the day because the system, most of that system is going to be shut down because it's too much power and it overpowers the home loads and the battery's ability to charge. So this is a common mistake. We see people putting 10 kilowatt solar, 10 kilowatt hour battery, telling people they got whole home backup. It's like, stop it. You don't. Right? Things need to be sized like a catcher's mitt. Right? If you're trying to play a softball match with a second baseman's glove from baseball, you're going to drop a lot of balls. But the real thing that utilities, AHJs, your TPO partners and financiers, your installers that have to roll a truck every time something breaks, your customers that are investing their hard-earned money, and even VPP programs across the country like Energy Hub, they're all looking for two major things, which is safety, right? Is this thing going to be safe because we are putting this on a homeowner's home? We do not want that liability. Number two, is it reliable? How long is it going to last? How much juice am I going to get out of this fruit, right? So this is where Franklin really excels. I saw some questions about cycles and that kind of thing. This warranty is going to have a massive impact on your customer's net present value of their investment, right? We have a 15-year warranty or 60 megawatt hour throughput and no cycle limit. That means a customer can use this twice a day if they want to, right? We're looking at the years and the how much power. That's where this is limited. More daily cycles for time of use, self-consumption is going to save homeowners significantly more money in the long run. It's going to get them more VPP cash, right? It's going to save them on electric bills. Who knows what those things are going to look like in 10 years from now, right? I do not want to be replacing my battery when I've lost all net metering possibilities and, I don't have a product that's compatible, right? And again, we give 100% usable of that 15 kilowatt hour. So you're getting the maximum savings and the maximum value out of the customer's investment. Let's get nerdy. So not all batteries are created equal, guys. It's just a fact. We've seen a lot of different products. You've probably heard stories of LG and the swelling and the recalls. You've probably heard about Tesla fires from the commercial things. Lithium ion is a tricky beast, right? We don't use that. We use lithium iron phosphate, which most battery manufacturers are switching to now. But we also use extremely rugged and high-grade commercial cell. Our first battery, which is the first of its kind to not have a cycle limit, which was basically rated at 6,000 cycles and a 12-year warranty. With our new product, we were the first to bring generation grid scale cells to a product. And this is an over 10,000 cycle lifetime, right? Zero reason for us to do cycles because, again, if you're going to be around for 11,000, if you're calling us in 35 years from now, we'll probably be doing it through like our little hand chips. You know what I mean? I doubt we even have cell phones. But what this means, guys, more cycles, better remaining life than our competition means that you're going to save more money for the homeowner. All right, it's that simple. And that means more protection, more safety, more worry-free days with energy freedom. And there is an app. You guys can all go download it right now and use it as a demo. So if you haven't gone to the Apple App Store or the Google Store to download the Franklin app, please do so. And one of my favorite features for those selling into California, and Arizona and some of these markets that have tricky time of use rates. You know, like, what am I on? What should I do? It's almost impossible to help your customers program these things. Ours simply scan your electric bill, and it's going to automatically and effortlessly configure your time of use settings with just a single click. So before we get into the A-gate, lastly on the battery, I want to talk a little bit about temperature, right? You guys, most of the batteries that are out on the market are not meant for extreme conditions. Franklin can be installed as high as 10,000 feet of elevation. Our nominal operating temperature is -4 to 130 degrees. In fact, it's so good at cooling itself, we actually removed the fans from the first generation, where this new generation has no moving parts in it. That means it's quiet, it's silent, unlike our competition who has 2 fans that only run at 1 speed, which is on, right? And we've heard stories as high as 60 decibels from the product. So that means noise-free, no meltdowns, no moving parts, a big asset to our warranty itself. So that is the battery. And now we're going to talk about the gateway, right? This is the brain of the system. I always like to think this is what got me just hyped on Franklin when I first discovered the product, when they were literally just getting started. I think there was $0 account receivable, and I had about 300 customers pissed at me because their Enphase systems didn't work with their IQ7 inverters when the grid went down. So at that time, I was discouraged about batteries. I was really excited about what I saw in Franklin and wanted to use my experience of knowing what not to do to then educate this industry to bring a better product. So the A-gate, it really is an energy management center, right? I know this is a lot of words. Some of you guys are going to understand this. Some of you won't, right? I'm giving you a few of the benefit of the doubt. But really what it is intelligent energy control, right? It's an extremely high quality, well-built hub using the best quality components, and it has a 280 amp rated bus bar, right? This makes it suitable for use as service equipment. Nathan Skousen, who you guys probably see on the chats, he told me a story about how PG&E came because a customer had turned off his main breaker in his panel after he got Franklin's and generator and solar. The utility came back on and said, you can't do that, brought the sheriff with them to turn it back on. He simply went into his Franklin app, clicked the off-grid button the second they walked off the property. They came back a few days later like, wait, how are we not still seeing power use? Not even a little bit, right? That's because the system could completely sustain his home for use in an off-grid situation. He didn't need his main panel anymore. All it had was a breaker in it. This is also a PCS or power control system rated device. This is really important, guys, right? This is talking about logic. This means that when the solar's coming, do I want it to prioritize to charge the battery? Or do I want the solar power because the customer's in a NEM 1.0 to go directly to the grid to give them maximum efficacy of their solar system and not lose any power in round trip efficiency, right? So these kind of logics, this logic setting is what allows us under the new NEM rules per the earlier question to allow not only pass through of that power to under NEM 1 and 2.0 conditions, but to charge it in an off-grid scenario. Cool features, not only do we have internet, Ethernet, Wi-Fi, and SIM card, but you also have Bluetooth commissioning. So for your customers that are like, well, when the world ends, I'm not going to have cell phone and I'm not going to have internet. Like, yeah, you're probably right. But you still have Bluetooth, right? That's just hardware. You can connect into the system. Another great feature of the A-gate is the ability to integrate generators. You've probably heard it, not from me, but the reality is that we work better with Generac than Generac. Facts, right? We basically, any 240 volt, 60 hertz generator, whether it's standby, meaning it's integrated for automatic turn on, turn off, or a portable generator that you have to rip the cord to get started. Either of those work as long as they're 240 volt, right? That's a very specific nuance, and you need to make sure of that because a lot of people have little 3 kilowatt, 5 kilowatt, 120 volt generators. That's not going to work with the Franklin. But what you can also use with the generator module, and hold on to your hats, you can use this for vehicle to load. That means if you've got a Cybertruck or a Ford Lightning or one of the new Chevys where they have the little 30 amp output in the back of the truck, you can connect that into the generator module and use that as an additional power source for your home. That means if I've got 10 kilowatt hour in my car and I've got 2 Franklins, guess what? an extended outage, I really have 40 kilowatt hour. All right, so very cool feature that's not really expensive. I want to be clear though, this isn't bi-directional charging. All right, this is vehicle to load. This is a little bit different. And then the other big differentiator of the Franklin A-Gate is our smart circuits. A lot of you are probably asking, well, are my circuits dumb? I didn't know that. This is news to me, but the reality is, right, breakers are just breakers, right? Either they have enough power for it or they don't. They don't do a whole lot of control. Some of you have probably heard of span panel, right? Think of this as a span panel for dummies. And we'll dig into the details, but I always joke that if I gave my Ferrari, my grandma a Ferrari for Christmas, she would likely crash it into a tree. So we give her a golf cart with a fuzzy steering wheel. If I gave my grandma a span panel, she would probably sit in the dark for a week, not be able to get the circuits on. So the smart circuits are easy and they allow them to control the things that are important, right? Like an air conditioning unit or a water heater or these larger loads. Also allows you to turn things off when your battery might be losing power. So I want to go to sleep. I want to make sure my battery system turns off my AC when it gets to 20%, so I have enough power to make coffee. Internally on the A-Gate, you guys are going to see a ton of little parts, and I'm not going to go over all of them, but it does come completely pre-built and prefabricated. It's got all the CTs internally. Now, you'll need to use extra CTs if you're doing like a partial backup, or you're leaving, maybe you're adding an old solar system and not using an aPbox. But for most systems, your CTs are already going to be, for whole home backup, you're good to go. They're already pre-installed. As you can see here, we have the ATS and everything is built in, right? So it's just a matter of the installers just need to connect the wire. Really easy to use. So again, talking about that vehicle to load, you've got a 240 volt outlet on that EV, plug it in, power up your battery. And you do that using the generator module. And then the smart circuit module here, again, this can be used to control things like your electric vehicle, right? We don't want to charge your Tesla when the grid's down. That's going to suck up 15 kilowatt hour really fast, right? So I probably want to set my EV to automatically turn off in an outage, but maybe I want to use my AC and turn off my pool pump, right? Or only run my pool pump during the day. So a lot of cool little features, make it easy. My favorite use of this is a lady in Hawaii who has 3 teenage boys. They all take long showers before school after surfing, and she never has any power in her battery because your system's not charging at night. So she started turning off the hot water on her teenagers, just like, get up, boy, next one in. That way she's able to reserve the power for when she needs it most. And lastly, the Franklin aPbox, right? This is a device that allows you to manage extra solar systems. I know it sounds crazy, but we have a lot of people that have installed SolarEdge and Franklin into the same system. So pre-existing solar, new solar. I still want to be able to have the ability to maybe turn off some of the solar during the middle of the day so I don't lose all my solar system. A lot of people use this for adding on systems all the way up to 45 kilowatt onto a single 200 amp surface. So a lot of different use, and we'll get into that. But actually, you know what, Tristan, this is a great time to bring you in to talk about, what it means, because a lot of these people are dealing with retrofits right now in the market, right? And what happens, right, if the customer needs more power, but they're on an NEM where they don't necessarily need more batteries, just something for time of use.
Yeah, so the aPbox is a very unique product. To your point, it allows us to individually monitor and also control a solar system. So anytime you're adding a PV system that's going to be included in the microgrid, so meaning when the grid's down, it's going to be available for that homeowner, charge the batteries, power the home loads. Our system needs to be able to control it. When you have the new non-export systems, it's very easy for NEM-MT, these expansion style systems where you're trying to maintain a legacy interconnection agreement, right? We don't want to kick people off NEM-1 or NEM-2 and push them on to NEM-3 just because they need 6 more panels. The way we can accomplish this is actually by using aPbox. And if you look at this top configuration, everyone might not be super well versed on single lines, but if you can follow along just momentarily, The new system is going to be connected to our A gate, and we'll be able to control it so it only powers the home loads and charges the batteries, never flows back to the grid. The old system, we can connect to aPbox and allow that one to charge the battery, power the home loads, and flow back to the grid, so they're still getting that advantageous net energy metering credit. The huge value add, which was part of the question earlier on, is that now when the grid goes down, we actually can include both solar systems in the backup microgrid, so the homeowner has access, right? So this is a very fancy way for us to individually meter, individually monitor those two systems while keeping them in that NEM 1, NEM 2. So
Right.
pretty important topic in California as well as Hawaii.
Right. And I'd love to ask Haysam, you guys are in 27 states. There are millions of solar systems, right, already out there, and a lot of customers that maybe didn't get enough power. What do you see, how valuable is that retrofit market of all those customers?
It's funny asking this question. I'm just texting Bobby, like, are you seeing this? We get so many add-ons, and we ran the same risk that aPbox is definitely going to be a big hit. I mean, Alex, when you start doing California, you get a lot of retrofits, and the risk of switching NEMs or not getting the entire benefit is huge. So having that as an add-on, I mean, Justin, I think that's a rhetorical question, quite honestly, in the issues that we face. So, I love it. I absolutely love it. And I can't wait to talk about the oversized PV retrofit, because I've been having those issues on my own home.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
You got probably got a lot of solar. I'm saying, hey, son, how big is your solar system?
I got a 25 kilowatt, and I'm still paying $150 a month.
And you've got one battery.
Minimum. I've got one. I had a Frankenstein, one battery and one other model, but now I need your number.
All right, we'll talk. We'll test compatibility integration, right? Old product with the new. That'll be fun to do on yours. So
I'll get you. Yeah, I'll connect you guys. That'll be fun. Justin, do we have time for questions?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Alex, I know that you probably have a lot. I'm going to let you go with yours first. And then we have Scott, Miguel, Christopher, Carl, Sam, Susan, and Austin have a question. Carl, you did come up with a question that I'm not 100% certain I saw. You asked me, forgot to add my question, non-net metering. I'm not sure what that means. So if you retype it, I'll make sure it gets up there. But I wanted Haysam to come up and also answer some questions and ask them as well. So I'm going to hop off stage. Alex, over to you, my man.
I appreciate it, Jake. So I'm pretty sure that Jake has me on this just because I'm going to ask a lot of questions, not because I'm providing value, but maybe questions are good value. So I'm going to ask some questions on the sales side. So far, we've been mostly on the tech side, which is obviously incredibly important. And I'm reading all the comments, all the questions in the comments. It seems like we have a lot of installers and the tech people on here. So from the sales standpoint, I'm learning California. I'm learning batteries. I come from sales markets that have one-to-one net metering, or they have, like in Arizona, it has a net billing. So it's like a tax buyback on your surplus. And I think the mistake that I made when thinking about batteries was when you have a one-to-one net metering market. So, for example, in Illinois, I do a lot of volume in Illinois. So I'm selling people where they're going to have a lot of surplus in the winter, and that surplus is going to carry over. They might have 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 kilowatt hours that carries over into the summer, and then they can use that. So you can do 100, 105, 110% offsets, and you're good. So my thought was, okay, cool. When we have batteries, I'll just do a 100, 105 with a battery, and then we're straight. But I'm feeling like that's probably wrong, because one-to-one net metering, you can carry a large surplus. But on a battery, you're carrying a daily, maybe 2 days of surplus. So my question are, how do we know how to size the PV system? What offset are we looking for? How do we know if I want one battery, two battery, three battery? And then can you explain interval data? I keep hearing that term. I don't really know what that means.
Right, totally. Well, let's address the first question, right? So before we get to interval data, so when you're in net metering one-in-one, of course, I want everybody to sell a ton of batteries, right? The reality is you don't need a ton when you're in net metering one-in-one. what you're looking at is what kind of outages do I have, right? How long do I have those outages? And I'm going to size the batteries from that, because really from the solar side, if you're a net metering one-on-one, the logic is going to prioritize power to the grid, right? Whenever we can get a little extra, we're going to slow charge that battery, and we're probably going to leave it in backup mode all year, right? And the cool thing in Illinois is there's great incentives right now. So you can get a huge chunk of the battery paid for resiliency without having to really use it, right? Like I can just park it for backup use when we have these crazy outages. And that's when it's going to get interesting, right? Because if you did size the customer for 100% of their energy use one-on-one, we're going to want to make sure we design the system the right way. But if they only need an outage, they're saying 2 to 3 hours of backup, one battery is probably fine, right? They say, hey, I want to survive the zombie apocalypse. We want to design them an off-grid system, right? That's gonna service the largest day of the year for them, right? Without compromise. You know, our product manager uses the term reduced compromise. I really like that, right? Because it's something that none of us like compromise, not with our wives, not with our purchases, right? It's just, it's crazy. So in this case, I would argue that what does the customer need from a comfort side and duration side? And that's how you're going to size for backup in Illinois. So offset doesn't really matter, right? If the solar is oversized for the battery, then we'll just install half of it on the non-backed up lugs. And when the grid goes down, you have half the solar. It'll be fine.
Okay.
Yes.
Interval data.
Yeah. So how does that work? Because like, so am I looking at like 110, 125, 150? Like, how do I know how much PV I need when I'm doing the battery?
Right. Well, it depends on your situation, right? And I really think there's only two kinds, right? Well, there's time of use shifting, right? If you're in Arizona, we're really doing demand shifting, right? If I'm in a net metering one-on-one, again, I'm really only using the battery for backup power. That's the only time I really have it.
Well, so with Illinois, they just ended one-to-one net metering. So at the end of 24, one-to-one net metering ended, and now they have a new structure that's much less advantageous.
Got it. So now let's talk about that, right? Let me go back to the slide that we were on earlier with my little guys from Idiocracy. Bear with me 1 second. Here we go. All right. And let's think about that interval data. All right. Or just in general, how customers use energy. Typically, they wake up in the morning. Let's say they're 6%, 6, 7, 8 a.m. They're doing their thing. They're taking a hot shower on their electric hot water heater. They're cooking. They're turning on lights. They're doing the stuff that they use energy. They go off to work. That solar's producing, 41 kilowatt hours per day. The whole time the sun is shining, they're gone at work. Their battery's charged by 10 a.m., right? Because they were already out the door. And now they're coming home and they're planning on really using 30 kilowatt hours to 35 kilowatt hours from 5 p.m. to 8 a.m. Right? Or maybe even typically 3 o'clock till then, right? This is the typical use profile that we see on most customers that use this much energy. So if I just gave the customer, I want to make sure in a self-consumption that I'm building enough storage to capture all the energy they're going to need for the day. There's zero reason for me to ever size a solar system 140, 130% for a customer, unless they just want to have that big of a buffer. What I really want to be able to do is manage all of the energy that's not being consumed while the sun is out.
Okay.
So that's the most important factor. Is I look at that interval data, I put it into my screen, I can see when they use energy, when it's most expensive, and I want to design around that.
Okay, so like in California, for example, say PG&E, how would that work? So I want to look at their interval data and say, what, from this time to this time, what is that usage?
Yeah, you're going to want to look at all around, right? Let's say I want to look at December, right? I want to say, what's your worst day in December look like, right? What's your worst day in the summer look like? Do we have any weird things that I'm seeing in here that could require high usage, right? And to make sure that I'm essentially sizing in PG&E, I want to go storage, and I want to cover all the time when the sun isn't shining, right? And then I want to make sure I have enough solar to charge the batteries for that time period, and I have enough to cover the load during the day. So let's say a customer uses 40 kilowatt hours a day. You're probably going to need 2 batteries minimum, right? That's the go-to.
Alex, can I have you ask another question, and then can I go to some of the others, and then we'll come back to you?
Yeah. Want me to ask another one?
Yeah, please.
So the incentives. So I know you knew about the Illinois incentives. Does California have those same ones?
Similar, right? If you're in San Diego, I don't know if that money's sucked up yet, but I know San Diego Clean Power had a really cool incentive program. You have the DSGS program in California, which allows you can actually register straight off the app on your phone for that. So you don't need to fill out any paperwork prior to getting the batteries. And we're seeing other programs in like SMUD. Leap's got a bunch of stuff going on. So a lot of little things popping up. I think it's really early for us. We're not trying to do what Tesla did, which was be the aggregator. We're trying to work with all the different programs and all the different companies that are coming out to do this and create a kind of an open source platform so we have more opportunity.
Okay. Hey, I assume when we get rolling in California, you guys would know all the incentives and how those are applied.
Yeah, they're all loaded in the proposals, and our team you'll have full access to all your questions with our sales support team.
Okay. Jake, I had one more question, and then if that's cool.
Yes, sir.
Justin, can you explain the term the duck curve? Because I've heard about the duck curve, and apparently it's like the utilities don't like net metering because all the power that's getting flowed back into them is overloading their grid, and now they're having to just basically ground and lose that power anyways. So is it safe to say that utilities are pro battery because they don't want the surplus flowing back into their grid? And how do I use that as a sales value add?
Great question. So yeah, you know it, right? The more customers, they've got a ton of power and it's just pumping the grid all day long, and in an hour it's all gone, just like that, right? Utilities are deeply dependent on batteries for resiliency. We work very closely with them. I know that areas like around Diablo Canyon in California, the big nuclear site, that grid has faced a lot of resiliency efforts, and PG&E is giving batteries to homeowners directly, just saying like, sign up on this website and we'll put one on your house. So you're going to see a huge effort. I actually think it'll be good for the solar side of the business long term, as all these homeowners get free batteries from the utility. Now you got somebody to go put solar on their house. Right?
Do you see it being, maybe Justin and maybe Haysom, do you guys see it being a viable sales avenue in maybe a market like California, or maybe a market like in Arizona, where we have really large discrepancies between off-peak and on-peak rates, where we're just selling the battery as like an energy arbitrage sort of sense?
It's better here. I was just looking at my SRP bill with the new rate. If we added a couple batteries and just got rid of my solar system entirely, I could actually save pretty similar amounts of money because it's only 4 cents a kilowatt hour.
Yeah, because in APS, for example, like if I do the demand plan, my off-peak rates in the winter are 4 cents. In the summer, they're 6. And then my on-peak rates are like 35. So do you think there'll ever be like an avenue where we just sell a battery and then we charge the battery during those off-peak rates, and then they can discharge during on-peak? And we might move from being solar salesmen to just energy battery salesmen.
Right. You can right now. That is the best value proposition in Arizona as far as investment, as far as I'm concerned. And I'm not anti-solar by any means. I just think that when you're not getting the credit, right, it just becomes ancillary, right? If energy is only 4 cents, and it costs me 10 to produce it, like why use solar, right?
Yeah, if I sell like a lease in Arizona, if I do a 10-cent lease, like I'd rather just sell them a battery and let them charge it for 4 cents.
That's the play, right? I like to think of it as avoided cost of energy versus right as eliminated cost of energy. It's a little different. Jake, I know you got a lot of people with questions. So.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get back, Alex. We're gonna get back to you. First question, I think it was already answered. Does Franklin have bidirectional for EV charging? That's no. That's a no on that one, right?
No, because we're AC coupled, right? So to do bidirectional charging right now, it would be a DC. Not saying you're not going to see that in the future, but right now we're just doing the AC coupled generator module vehicle to load, V to L.
Okay. California add-on systems with Franklin battery additions, say like an 8-panel by 400 watt plus 2 Franklin batteries. Do they stay on NEM 2.0 or have to switch to NEM 3?
No,
They stay.
stay.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, no, Jake, you answer this question. Let's see if you've learned anything.
Oh, it used to be that they would have to switch to 3.0, but they came back after that rule came out and said that anyone that gets the additional gets to stay on the net metering agreement that they currently have.
Correct. Now you have to design it the right way, right? So Franklin's one of the few that can do it that way.
Justin, please don't ever test me again in public because that might be the only one I get right.
Deal. You're off the hook, man.
Here's another one from Carl. 14 kilowatt system, 120% offset, 18 kilowatt hour year usage. Would you design with 3 15 kilowatt hour batteries?
I love that design. Here's why. If you do 2, right, it's and again, it depends on when they're using their energy. If they use 70% of it in the summer, you might not even be enough, right? That's crazy to say. But if they're relatively balanced on their usage with a small summer curve for the AC, this is going to work out really well for them, right? Because 3 batteries, that's roughly 16,200 kilowatt hours a year of cyclable storage, which is, about a 75-25 battery to solar balance, which is great for self-consumption. I think your customers will be really happy with that design. Probably going to have barely any electric bill, but we'd have to see the data.
Next one from Sam. Are the time of use settings manually adjustable after the app sets them?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, depending on who owns your battery, right, whether it's Sonova, Sunrun, LightReach, they might be back in there changing the settings on the customer every time they do it. So there's certain rules, right, required with these things. So yes, there is not the customer can change it, and then we also give access to the installers to be able to have visibility and see if things are wrong, if a customer made a mistake, and easily contact them.
All right. Susan says, where I live in St. Petersburg, Florida, a lot of Tesla caught on fire directly due to the hurricane waters. While not knowing much about batteries, I was concerned what happens to the battery if the hurricane drowns them. I remember you saying they were waterproof.
Yes.
Are they drownable proof?
I mean, I don't think anything on earth, even power electronics, is completely drownable proof. But we have a great video on YouTube. If you haven't had the chance to see it, Google FranklinWH hurricane. You hear the story of Clyde during the Hurricane Ian in Fort Myers, where his battery was actually underwater. And he talks about how the only thing that worked in his house after the hurricane was his wife and the Franklin battery, because everything got washed out. Everything got damaged. You could see the water line, 28 inches, 29 inches on the battery. It was not submerged. Right, so we haven't seen that in a real life event yet. We haven't done an RMA for that, meaning we haven't had a battery break from that either. So, so far, so good as a swimmer. But I would like to consider our batteries are extremely waterproof and effective up to a point.
Another one from Sam.
Do circuits get moved from the main panel into the A gate? Depends, right? Depends where you're at. If you're in a meter main combo, you're going to be you might just be moving those large circuits to the smart circuits. You might be doing an entire sub panel, right, with all of the loads, like a big backup panel. You might be doing partial backup. But for areas where they're not a meter main combo, with the new battery, most of the time, 1 to 2, one battery is going to power the house relatively easily. We got to be careful because a lot of you guys will slap a single battery on a 4,000 square foot house and tell them they're good. It doesn't work like that, right? Really, whole home backup starts with 2. Even with our better continuous power, the reality is people don't realize how much power they can use at once, right? Washers and dryers, hot water heaters, air conditioning units. My daughter hasn't turned a bathroom fan off in 15 years. You never know where the energy is being used. So again, having enough continuous, I always say whole home starts with 2. It'll save yourselves a lot of headaches.
All right. Are the A gates required on every install, or are these a separate optional item?
Right. We've all got really comfortable, right, with the meter collar, no gateway. It's so nice not to have all that stuff. Right now, they are currently required on every install. We are developing a product that is kind of a light version of that. as well as a controller that will eliminate the need for the A gate if you need to have a more nimble system that doesn't require that kind of architecture. That's an option. But I would say, right, that while things are less expensive, we know about inflation, we know how expensive future electrical work can get. Putting the A gate in now saves your customer tens of thousands of dollars in the future of electrical work, right? You've taken their 200 amp panel and you've given them a 280 amp bus bar in addition to that to develop and grow their home and their family's appliances.
I have an odd request as a personal one to Jordan. My voice is dying. As I put these questions up, would you mind reading them for everybody?
Absolutely.
All right, here we go. Let me mute myself here.
Wait to jump in. Okay, so this one is from Sam. So yes, is there a demo mode for the app? I downloaded it, but it's not connected to a system, so not much that I can see.
So you can, it should be. So when you go into the app, so mine's going to go in logged in, but when you get to the, here, let me log out so I can show you. See where it says demo mode? Beneath sign up. Are we seeing that? Do you guys have the app pulled up?
Yeah, it's available right on the app. Yeah.
Justin Bond saying, just call it an automatic transfer switch. Yes, that's basically what the A gate is, a super glorified, fancy automatic transfer switch for multiple devices.
Awesome. Okay, so Cass asked, what about the Texas market?
Right. Well, again, this is where you get homeowners that are doing all sorts of different things. So I know about a utility in Texas where they give you free energy during the day and they charge you a bunch at nighttime. Just get batteries. Zero reason for solar when that comes down, right? There's no reason until they take away your, you need a power source where the energy costs you money. You just put batteries, right? I've heard it. Listen, most people in Texas, those outages are scary and they're real, right?
Mhm.
And an easy way to sell to customers in Texas is to take them back to their experience, right? How long were you out? 3 days, 4 days, 7 days, right? During that time, right? Let's look at what did you really need? What did you want? Right? I just wish we could have just been here and never been interrupted. Great, right? Let's look at a true whole home off-grid experience, right? Well, I just need my oxygen to work and my fridge to work. Okay, really cool. With the Franklin product, we can actually take it and turn down your inverter so that the continuous output of the battery isn't so high and extend the life of the system since we're only powering these vital circuits. So I would say for Texas, it comes down to exactly what you need for the customer. And this is the advantage of Franklin. We're here to help you design these systems and answer those questions.
Absolutely. So Eric jumped in and said, Franklin team, Jake, Action Solar, appreciate the training. Mahalo. I got to bounce, but have a quick question I'll catch on the recording. Are the batteries stackable one in front of the other to save real estate on the wall / garage? And thanks again, gents and lady.
Yeah. Eric, mahalo. Appreciate you. So the batteries are stackable above each other, but not out yet. So that is a special kind of UL 9540A rating that I don't know Franklin will ever get, given that I don't know that people are really looking to make this easy for us, right? I think Franklin's perfectly safe to do it, but 99.9% of AHJs aren't going to allow it.
Awesome. Scott asked, what size solar system is needed to charge 2 Franklin 15 kilowatt hour batteries? Great.
Depends how quick you want to charge them. Realistically, right, we need to have enough pass-through power that the home loads aren't sucking up all the power from the solar so that the battery can be charged. Even though we can connect the house so that the batteries charge priority and you're just using grid energy. But realistically, right, you want enough solar to cover what your house is using. And then if I've got 2 kilowatts of leftover power, and I've got a 15 kilowatt hour battery, right? It's going to take me about 6-7 hours to charge that battery on a full day. I'm not going to have any home loads, right? So it really comes to speed, right? One of the advantages of Franklin is our charge rate is really high, 60% more than Tesla. So you can, if you've got a 10 kilowatt, you can charge that battery in like an hour and a half.
We have a lot more questions that popped up. I'm just going to go with the last, not the last two. I'm going to go with the last two before all of the other questions popped up. For those that ask questions later, Robbie, Greg, Grindle, good to see you. I'm going to let them answer those in a little bit. We're just going to do these two, and then we'll get to those after the next segment. So here's the final two. Here we go.
All right. So Susan asked, does Franklin have a system sizing tool for salespersons?
Sort of. We have a sizing tool on our website. I purposely don't send people to it because it's very subjective. We are working with partners to come up with a really comprehensive tool to help you guys out. What we also find is that when we offer sizing tools, your finance partners and your installers get mad at us because they want you to use their sizing tools. Right. So from our side of things, we have a sizing tool. It's on there. You can use it if you don't have a proposal tool, but Open Solar, any of those free services are also great ways to find sizing.
Awesome. Donald asked, what is an average price for one battery? What impact will tariffs have on pricing?
Great question. So the first part of that, this depends on the company, right? I've seen installers lose their shirts selling these batteries for $12,000, $13,000 because they don't have any, installed, right? I'm not going to say the cost of the actual product. You have to ask your distributors and your sales partners, but we've seen people lose their shirts, right? Typical red line on our product is it really varies depending on what your installer is doing. So it's really hard to speak to specifically. I'd say a MSRP retail range is anywhere between 15, 16 to 25,000. I've seen them sold for a ton of money, right? So I would say average, I couldn't even tell you. So we don't sell direct to installers. We don't sell direct to consumers. We kind of believe in this industry. We believe in the checks and balances of it. So from our side of things is we only work with distribution partners that then work with your installers to help manage their flow. And again, that's speaks to our bankability because we're not financially exposed. Like if a Titan Solar Power, somebody went out of business and owed us $5 million, that would be a big problem, right? So part of the reason why we use distributors is because it's kept us healthy.
All right, so we're going to go on to the next segment, but I do see questions from Adam Price, Greg Grindle, Justin Vaughn. So we're going to get to those here soon, but Justin, I'm going to turn it back over to you and Alex and the team, Haysom, to keep going with what you have planned.
Black start is when your customer actually drains their battery all the way to the bottom, right? And there's no power, right? Fun little myth buster. I kind of love this. How many of you, I want you to think to yourself, how many of you has said, hey, the reason solar shuts down when the grid is out is so that the line workers don't get shocked, right? So to keep the electricity from your solar system going back to the grid. Alex, thumbs up? Yep.
I've definitely said this before.
Yeah. Hey, Sam, you too?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Right. We're all 100% offenders on this. So basically a lot of times we say, hey, like the reason these systems don't work, right, is because the grid is down. We don't want power to go to line workers. The reality is your inverter needs power to run, right? It needs 100 watts to start up to make the solar work. So if there's no grid connection and you've got a grid tied solar system, it's not going to work, right? But now what happens with the battery is you drain your battery all the way, and we've seen this with other products. All of a sudden you can't start the solar. And I'm going to shout out Justin Vaughn, who's actually jump-started batteries for us that have been drained by somebody who only had a couple batteries and they were using tons of appliances and had no idea that they only had 5% of battery left, right? These things happen. But the cool thing about Franklin is we do have this black start ability to completely shut off all of the other things that are drawing power to hyper focus so that the solar can start the battery even in low light. So, and get that thing fired up, get that thing charging as soon as possible so you can get back to normal function. Again, it's very painful to have a battery, have power for 5-6 hours, and then spend 2 days trying to get somebody to come out to your house, get your power going again. So we created an accessory to help stop that, which is a main load relay. I'm sure Haysam and you'll be putting plenty of these out, because I know a lot of the TPOs are requesting them on all of the jobs. So I saw you guys were asking about meter collars. And Sam, I saw your question about the battery. Can it be installed on the ground? Yes. It can be mounted on the wall. Yes. It can be also mounted on concrete pads. So I know we've got this new product. We're all really excited about it, but a lot of new stuff coming. Currently we are on the AVL list for multiple financing companies. I'm not going to give them any shout outs. I will say that we are not on the dealer for Sonova currently because of domestic content requirements. We're not yet on LightReach. The rest of them, you should be able to find a path forward. So reach out specifically, just because I don't want to call out any names of our partners that we are with, but it's a lot. So ask your dealers. We'll fill that information in. But AVL, and Jake and I talked about this. This is a big stopgap of why people haven't heard of us until now, right? It took a long time for us to be bankable, even though our product was being sold a lot, for us to prove our worth, that we were actually a real company, so that these investors that own these funds were confident in the product long term. So it's a real validation to be coming on these major AVLs as a major supplier, because that means that people have confidence in our product working for 25 years. So moving forward, we've got the meter collar coming out at end of Q3. This is not a Franklin meter collar. We're working with third parties. So if you're in Arizona, you'll most likely be using the connector meter collar, whereas if you're in California, you're going to be using the EQB product. So both should be readily available. I think connector, you'll see that in Q2, but we do expect the meter collar to start producing at the end of March. So hopefully your installs that you sell next month will, have a little extra margin in them for your commission. All right. A big focus of ours is less boxes on the wall. So you guys asked the question, is the A-gate, can we install without it? In the future, coming very soon, yes. We expect this towards Q4, the meter collar and controller combination to pretty much eliminate the need for that. We've got another cool product coming out with the aPbox 2, but we'll talk about that. You guys come to RE Plus and check it out. Really excited. Somebody asked about domestic content. 3 weeks we start manufacturing in San Jose. It's a big deal for us. This has been a labor of love, and we're super excited about that. And working on some small commercial offerings, and again, bringing on more and more TPO partners nationwide. So a little shot of our factory in San Jose, where we're making the product. Cool feature I didn't talk about with the aPower 2. That blue light you're looking at, it can now change colors. It is RGB. So whether you're a Chiefs fan or an Eagles fan, you can show your love by selecting your favorite color to be the light. But this little light right here actually shows the state of charge the battery has in it. Meaning if the customer, again, early in the morning, this light's going to be down low. After the battery's been charged up all day, the light's going to be up top. So you've got a product that fits the retrofit market as well as the new install market. So you can pair with any existing solar with the Franklin system. You've got smart circuits, you've got generator integration. We've got the ability to black start the battery even when it's completely drained. We've got domestic content savings, right, on our TPO partners, and making this in California gives extra SCHIP incentives as well, 20% more rebate. High output, high capacity. This is engineered for VPPs. And we talked about it a little bit on this graph, on the graph that we'll reference back in the saving or in this slide. You guys can check that out later. But that will show you just how much more savings, how much more money you can make from the Franklin versus our competitors. 15 years of unlimited cycles and 60 megawatt hour of throughput, including off-grid 15-year warranty. You've got the best value add expansion for NEM, MT, and MBT systems. You've got an RMA rate that is literally around 1 in 1,000 batteries actually come off the wall, and it's usually installer error. And you've got a company that if you guys forecast with us and you tell us what your pipeline is, we'll make sure to keep you supplied, which I know is a tough point for all of you guys right now in this industry. So again, I'm going to kind of hand this mic over to Jordan and let her talk a little bit about our marketing efforts, and I'll start fishing up some questions while she's doing that.
Thanks, Justin. Just something really cool that personally is fun for me is every time I watch one of these presentations, I always come away with something new. And I've been working here for a little bit, so it's just really awesome to be a part of it. So yeah, like I said earlier, I'm from the marketing side. I just kind of wanted to share a little bit about what makes Franklin WH unique in terms of our marketing offerings, and just something also that I find personally exciting, just as someone that's worked with Franklin WH from the distributor side, but also from the installation side as well. So just a couple of highlights of things that I think are really awesome that Franklin WH offers. It's really unique support that you can only find with the Franklin WH brand. Like you guys have probably gathered from this presentation, one of the best products on the market, probably the best product on the market in terms of energy storage. So opportunity to work with that. One of a kind marketing support from energy storage manufacturers. So as maybe some of you can attest, and as well as me personally, in the past when I've worked with other manufacturers, it's virtually impossible to get any marketing support at all from anyone on the team. So it's really cool that Franklin WH is so focused on partnership and on, being able to work co-marketing hand in hand. So hence why my position exists in the first place, is just to ensure that our installer partners have that support and they have someone that they can talk to face to face. It's not just a website or something like that. And then the third point on there is just we have that really awesome, thank you, consistent and immediate real life support from passionate, intelligent experts. Is something that I've heard Justin say before that I love, is call up our service line. Call them up. They'll answer in 1 to 2 rings. I mean, it's really awesome how passionate we all are and how excited that everybody is to help and to support in any way. So you'll always get in touch with someone. Someone will always be able to help you out, just on the phone or show up in person or whatever it is. We're really big on offering that boots on the ground support for you guys. Justin, you can hit the next slide. Awesome. Okay, so like I said, the marketing program that Franklin WH offers is really awesome. We usually do it in like a tier setting. I won't go into the specifics of what those look like. And, when you partner with us, you'll be able to see what that looks like. But in terms of the marketing, installer marketing program, we have a lot of unique features to it. So one of the things I like to do with our installer partners is I sit down and understand your marketing strategy from start to finish, whether that's your event strategy, your brand strategy in general, what markets you're going after, what you want to attack, what your target audience looks like, what your average homeowner looks like, all of that stuff. We review all those goals together, and we are able to kind of game plan and get a really broad view of what you guys have going on to make sure that what we're giving you in terms of resources and offerings matches your homeowner network. So like I said, overview and review, we cover all aspects of your target audience, and we come up with a tailor-made Franklin WH marketing program that works for you. This is something that resonates with your homeowners. I don't like to just offer some one blanket strategy that just works for everyone. Everyone's state is very different, and what people are looking for, even in programs, is very different. So this is a very unique strategy for that situation. We do co-marketing campaigns. So this could look like really anything. Anything that works for you guys. I've worked with installers in the past that only like direct mail. They don't like the digital marketing, and they doesn't resonate with their homeowners. We're willing to work with you guys on that. We also have worked with people that only do digital marketing. They don't do any door knocking. They don't do anything in person. They only do the virtual aspect. So anything in that realm or anything in between, we're able to work with you guys on that. Or if you even do event marketing. I know a lot of people on this call probably do attend a lot of events, and they do a lot of home shows and things like that. We're able to offer support in those areas as well in a variety of ways. Initiative timeline and planning. So we identify gaps maybe in your sales and marketing training. So let's say your sales teams are feeling like they need some more training on the sales side, kind of more in depth maybe of the strategies of selling, and different touch points and things like that, we're able to offer you guys a very specific and unique sales training for your teams. We can do that virtually, in person, whatever it is. We even offer marketing support as well and trainings for your marketing team. So if your marketing team is looking for product specific training or sales trainings more in depth, we're able to get those to you as well. Like I said, boots on the ground support. So event coverage, we've done a lot of work where we send out dummy units to events and we're able to, you know, showcase the product that way. We've sent out swag, we've sent out collateral, we've sent out anything, even, you know, people on our team as well. Our RSMs are more than happy to come out to the home shows and help you guys talk to homeowners, help you guys sell the product, things like that. And then result tracking and analysis, you know, we want to make sure that our campaigns are providing support. So we're able to look over the results with you guys and offer any kind of guidance or things to tweak, make it a little bit better. Awesome. You can go to the next one. Awesome. So I just wanted to share just kind of like what some personalized initiatives kind of look like that are possible with us as well. So customized website content that's focused around the FranklinWH product. We're able to work with you on creating that content that matches SEO and hits keywords, things like that. So we're able to work with you guys on that front. Social media and brand assets, photos and videos of real installations, and product renderings as well. Some people like to use the product renderings for their site. Some people want just the actual installation, but we have both for you and available for you guys to use. Co-marketing and social media campaigns on the organic side. So we could do photos and graphics and videos. We can even interview your customers. We can talk to like anybody that you've worked with in the past that loves Franklin and loves your brand. We can work with you guys creating video content for that. Email marketing support, sales and marketing training, like I said, co-advertising campaigns on the paid side, dummy units and showroom support, customer appreciation events, you name it. We have the support for you guys. And there's things on here too that aren't even mentioned that we're more than happy to work with you guys with. I love talking with installers all the time because they always come up with new ideas that I never even thought of before. So we're always willing to try new things. And yeah, that's a little bit about the marketing side. I think I saw a marketing question. I'm so sorry, Jake. I just did not address it.
No, you did. Thank you for being willing. Jake Hess out of San Diego asks, what about SolarCon? No, I'm just okay. Here we go. Real one. Susan asks, are your marketing plans available to smaller or newer installers, or just the big guys?
Honestly, we work with all installers that install FranklinWH. So it doesn't matter your size, and it doesn't matter, you know, how much volume you do. If you are working with the FranklinWH product, we are here to support you in any way. And I think that's the really cool thing about FranklinWH is that because we work with our distribution partners so closely, I mean, we're able to focus all of our time and our energy on helping our installers. That is majority of our work goes into that. And I think that that's the really unique part that comes from FranklinWH is that that's one of our main focuses. We're not focused on, you know, like the pricing, and we're not focused on these other things. We can just get to focus on anyone that sells FranklinWH and wants to work with us. So to answer your question, doesn't matter if you're small, medium, large, we're really willing to work with you on anything that you have coming up. So
great. That's good to know.
Cool.
Thank you for answering that, Jordan.
yeah.
And if anyone else has any other marketing questions, it does look like Darren wanted to reach out to you and he got your email from Justin. I don't know if you saw that. And for anyone that's looking, this is Jordan's email. If you're interested in those, requesting some of those things you talked about.
Yeah, Jordan, I'll be reaching out to you soon as well. We sell entirely virtual, so I would love to talk to you.
Okay. Perfect. My background as well, I have a lot of virtual sales and lead management experience as well. So if there's any other people on the call that, you know, you have a call center or something like that, and you're looking for ways to integrate marketing into that in terms of FranklinWH, I'm more than happy to offer support in that area as well. But yeah, Alex, I'm looking forward to connecting with you.
Cool.
Thank you, Jordan. Alex, any other questions for you? I know you have to head off of here soon. We do have some questions from the audience, but I want to make sure we get some of yours.
Jake,
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, Alex, real quick, before we do that, will you post this little link I just threw up on the site here?
Private chat? Yes.
So we just launched this. It's still like a labor of love, a work in progress, but this is a certified sales pro portal. You can go in. It's got a lot of different training content. So videos on the aPower, A-gates, how to size for HVACs, there's a solar mastermind course, how to avoid main panel upgrades, every little nuances. We put our podcasts on there. So good chance to get any of the documents, data that you need. And you can get qualified all the way up to hero status, which will allow you guys to start getting spiffs and opportunities in the second half of this year.
Very cool.
Kind of cool. And then Tristan, you put up their engineering questions. That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for highlighting that. Just if you are coming across technical questions or you need documentation, please email us. We can answer all your questions.
Alex, any questions for you before you have to head off? And then I'll ask the questions from the audience.
No, this was a ton of stuff, man. So I want to reach out to Justin and Jordan as well later. My last main question was, Justin, when I used to sell not batteries and people would ask about batteries, I would always say, hey, solar panel technology improved a lot, but it's kind of been pretty set the last couple of years. Most innovations going towards batteries. And then I would kind of defer people from buying batteries because I didn't know about them. But I would say, hey, every year they're getting better and cheaper. So just hold off a couple more years when the batteries get really big and awesome and the price comes down. What do you see as the future trend of batteries? Is that correct? Are they going to get bigger and better and cheaper? Or what do you see coming down the pipe in the future for battery technology?
Great question. I don't think they're getting any cheaper anytime soon. I say that because we're all having to move our facilities to America. So building in San Jose isn't exactly like a cost down move. But with that being said, right, I think we will get to that place, right? I bought solar. I got into solar because I had such a bad experience when I bought it. And I came home to 15 guys on my roof that were, not doing what they should be. I would say battery technology in 5 years from now, you're going to see new introductions in chemistry. That's going to bring some of the costs down. We're going to see more denser material, which means the batteries are going to get smaller, right? I wouldn't be surprised if in 6 to 7 years, we see batteries that are the size of a backpack, that are 10 kilowatt hour. So yeah, there's going to be some changes. I think the most important thing we can do, right, is innovate and learn what not to do. I think there's a lot of products out there, and the biggest thing is manufacturers need to be just as responsible as installers are in managing their cash flow and managing their innovation and being responsible stewards of the industry, right? Because when we go out of business, you go out of business, whether it's SunPower, SunTech, whoever it is, people get screwed, right? And so we've taken that very seriously. Like, our path isn't to just be an SPAC, get big. Right? Our path is to ride out all of these waves that are going to come over the next decade and give you guys something you can keep in the back end.
Cool. I like you, man. I do got to take off, but I'll be reaching out to you guys here soon. I know there's a bunch more questions. All those questions were excellent. I had half of those as well. So appreciate you guys' time and this information. And Jake putting this on. Haysom, Bobby with Action. Super pumped to get started. So this is cool. This is really exciting. I feel like a lot of guys in my shoes have been, selling things on the doors. I've been doing door-to-door since 2005. So I've gone from different products, and then we went virtually, and now we're learning about batteries. So I feel like the people in this room, and these kinds of people, are what drives the industry forward, the innovation. Like, this is what separates people who become career successful, lifelong reps in this industry versus those who are a flash in the pan. So I think continuous knowledge and learning opportunities and new sales avenues, I think that's the way that this can grow. So I appreciate you guys and your time. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Alex.
Thank you, Alex, for hopping on. I appreciate that. And I appreciate all your questions and motivating us to do this webinar. I'm going to start asking some more questions. Unless, Tristan, did you have things that you were going over as well, or were you here for tech support?
Mostly tech support. So
Engineering
Justin
and
kind of, yeah, he took the lead, but yeah, if anything comes up, I'm here.
All right. So here's some final questions for the Action team and the Franklin team. This one comes from Sam. Demo shows batteries installed outside in the rain. That's cool. But off the ground, is that typically where they get installed or usually on the ground?
Everywhere. So yeah, on the ground is fine. If you're in a flood area, put it up higher, right? It kind of depends on what the customer is looking for and what your AHJ is asking for. But these can be installed inside, outside, on the ground, on the wall.
All right. Is anyone hearing the audio?
I'm muting myself in between, so I don't know where that sound's coming from.
That is interesting. It's someone's hacked into our system here. Here we go.
Really?
Pete Waters asks, clarifying Franklin is an option to air gap a second system export only to avoid losing NEM status. I don't know what all those words mean.
Yes. The answer to that is yes, right? He's asking, hey, can I use this system to keep a customer from avoiding losing NEM2 because they're adding on to their system? So yeah, you can do a second system. Well, it's going to be, your second system isn't going to be export only, right? Your second system is going to be self-consumption, right? Non-export. And then your old system will be configured for export only.
Very nice. All right. Next question. Joel or Joel, I have a friend named Joel or Joel Lunsford. Have you done a rebar penetration test?
Hold on, I'm getting out of my long so I can show you guys. I don't think, have we done a rebar penetration test? I'm pretty sure. Tristan, I'll let you field this. You're the ones blowing.
Yeah, I don't know exactly on this one. It's a great question. LFP is very stable, so when you do drill into it, it doesn't have much of a reaction.
Yeah, here's what I can show you guys, and I think I skipped this earlier. Let's see if it's not. Oh, it's not showing my. Here we go. I'm gonna go to the very early spots of my my presentation. So while I click through this, we've actually had these batteries where they are lit on fire for 7. I was trying to find the video. It's on here somewhere. Lit on fire for about 7 hours, and just let them burn. And we didn't. It's not working. And so yeah, we've dropped them out of cranes. Like I had a video of it falling from a crane from like 20 feet high. So as far as LFP and prismatic cells, you don't face the same kind of explosive dangers that you do with lithium ion that require the rebar test. Short answer.
All right. Next, what is your retail partner selling batteries for?
Great question. So first of all, retail partnership was over. That was purely optics. I just wanted to be the first to do it. But we got with Batteries Plus for a while. And what we learned is $11 an hour employees can't sell batteries or leads. And so unless you have an expert in there from the installer, from the dealer who wants to spend their time in that retail space educating homeowners, it's a struggle.
All right. So the price is different for everyone, meaning what you pay is not the same as what I would pay?
Well, yeah. Right. Well, number one, for purchasing, right, there's such thing as buying power, right? So I'm not going to sit here and pretend like the TPO partners that invest tens of millions of dollars into our product pay the same price as an installer who buys 3 for the year.
Oh, sure. That's standard at any company.
Understood, right? So there's that. And then you've got the price to the market, right? So there's the batteries, but then there's the install. You got 1,000 feet of wire, 50 feet of wire, right? So the MSRP is going to there's no way for us to say, get a battery for $12,000, right? That's the kind of stuff that kills this industry. I think Tesla does a horrible job of setting expectations with homeowners on their sites and their quotes, which makes it harder for you guys to do your job. But realistically, we're not going to tell homeowners what they cost, right? We're going to send those leads to you guys and you tell them.
I actually really like that question by Michael because it's not an easy one to ask. It's bold, and I like that you answered it. I love that you guys are transparent, and I think the industry needs that.
Oh, thanks.
Mitchell Green asks, which lenders provide solar financing for off-grid solar systems. That's an interesting one because don't you have to get NEM approved to get funded?
I would think for third-party owned, right? There's definitely that aspect. I've never heard of like Sonova or Sunrun doing off-grid solar. That seems like a risky proposition on a PPA to not have grid connection. But
Maybe
no,
a HELOC.
I mean, I want to say I've seen them done. I don't know. I can't send you in the direction of anybody doing them right now. I know I want to say Credit Human.
Haysom, you know?
There are some finance partners that would do it. Clean Energy Credit Union in Texas will do it across the country. Most credit unions will do financing for the homeowner. It's not one of those where we can facilitate the finance through portals, but financing is available. It doesn't take that long to finance and fund.
Yeah. Credit Human, right?
Yeah, Credit Human's another one I know that does some off-grid stuff, but things change, right? So I don't even know. I would say that there's so many different ways for you guys to get creative with the way people fund these. I paid for my solar system in 2007 with my 401k.
Nice.
Interest-free money. Right. It was like with the quarterly payments, it was like 30% more than what my electric bill was, and it was paid off in 4 years. And that was at $9 a watt.
Amanda Millhouse. Hi, Amanda. Glad you hopped in. Is Franklin in the process of getting approved through any of the VPP plans here in Texas?
I'm going to let you speak to that a little bit. I know we're talking. Abby's probably the better person, right, Tristan?
Yeah. Well, I can say that we have active integrations with pretty much every major player in the VPP and DERMS space. So we're talking Leap, Texture, Durapi, Uplight, Virtual Peaker. So we're constantly evaluating all of the new VPPs and demand response programs that are available. And we definitely have a few in the works in Texas specifically. But those are expected to come online probably later this year, towards the end of this year.
I'm going to put on our Texas rep, Amanda. His name's Ryan McClister. I'm putting his email on here, and you can reach out to Ryan, and he will happily direct you to programs that are available in the state.
Very cool. Another one from Scott. Scott, thank you for being so active. It makes this easier on all of us. What's the average commissioning time?
So we got a great question.
Isn't that a Haysom question, or is that a?
Yeah, that's a better question. Haysom, why don't you answer that one for us? I like that.
That's actually a great question, and I should have brought I should have brought Isaac on there to answer the exact time. I don't have an answer for that question right now.
I'm going to say 10 minutes. So it can. I know Scott was throwing me up a softball here. We're one of the fastest commissioning times. Typically might even take 15 minutes your first time, right? Just to get through it, cross your T's, dot your I's. Fastest commissioning time on record is under 4 minutes.
Is that for first and second generation?
Yeah, it's all the same. We've actually simplified the commissioning process rather than making
interesting. I put Haysom on the spot because I thought commissioning was an installer job.
No, it is an installer job for sure, and it takes different times. We currently our installation time our installation percentage for Franklin versus anybody else is still coming up. So we're pushing Franklin as much as we can, and I can tell you what other manufacturers are. But frankly, in my house, it didn't take much time. 15 minutes is always in. I want to speak to my installers and see what they do.
Susan asked this question. I believe you already answered it, right, Jordan? Okay, cool. Next question. Bobby, it looks like you have some fans that want to talk with you. Jordan, you put something up here. What is this?
Oh, nice.
All the slides from the presentation.
Oh, yeah. I just converted it to a PDF. That's a Google Drive link for people to access, but I don't know if it's clickable in the comments. But we can get it out afterwards. It's no problem.
Yeah, we're gonna send this recording out to everybody, and we can make sure that either Franklin will send out this link to you, or our team will send that to all of you. So you will get it either way. What's that?
Jake, actually, I'm going to leave you with Jordan and Tristan to answer the questions. I have a call
Yes, sir.
on the other side of the world that I have to jump on right now. So
no worries. We're almost done anyway. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Bobby, hey, Sam, really nice to meet you guys as well.
Honestly, Justin, can't wait to talk to you more.
Nice to meet you. Thank you again.
We are down to our final questions. Weight issue on the wall?
Yeah, generally not an issue unless you're stacking the batteries one above one another. So in California specifically, you're only required to do like structural calculations if the unit's more than 400 pounds. So now we're well within that.
Thank you. All right. And could you answer Adam Price's question? I did have Adam Price marked, and I don't know where it went. Let me go find that real quick. Here we are. I work in New England. Lots of customers with heavy winter usage and low summer. How would a customer benefit with such low winter solar production and high usage?
Well, that's about a system design question. So we talked about, evaluating different periods of year. You do need to size systems taking into account the winter production and demand, right? So it just comes down to doing your due diligence through that interval data and making sure you're accounting for both summer and winter months.
Okay. Thank you, Austin, for reminding me to get to that one. Amanda says this has been very informative. Bobby, it looks like you're going to email Michael. Here's a question from Shane. You mentioned a sales portal. What proposal tools or platforms is Franklin currently integrated with, or are you working with to accurately build a system? Or do you have their own proposal tool?
So we don't have a proprietary proposal tool, but we are working with basically any of the major players. Open Solar, Aurora, Energy Toolbase is also a really good tool for sales representatives and businesses if you want to do like evaluations of a homeowner's data with an energy storage system. SolarGAF, there's a number of proposal tools and very easily to integrate the Franklin product with any of those major platforms.
You're on mute, Jake.
You know what it feels like being able to talk and finding out that you're actually muted? It's embarrassing. I was just saying thank you very much, Franklin, Jordan, and Tristan. Thank you very much. And Bobby and Haysom, do you guys want to take us out of your webinar here?
Well, we appreciate everything you guys have said today. Thank you, Jake, for all the setup. And thanks to Justin, Tristan, Jordan for answering all the questions and all the great questions that actually came through. We can't wait to see what it works. In fact, I just texted Justin. I'm definitely getting 3 for my house. Well, let's test it real time and see how it works. Let's see how the commissioning happens in 5 minutes.
Bobby, thank you, Haysom. Bobby, go ahead, my man.
I want to tell you guys all thank you. My mind literally has been blown. There's a ton that I did not understand about Franklin that I've learned, and I was taking a ton of notes on some interesting things that I learned. Biggest thing is like using interval data, sizing the systems, different things like that. So I'm super excited to share some of that knowledge with our dealers to make sure they're taken care of and making sure we're taking care of the customer, because that's really what matters.
Thank you very much, Bobby. And Richard asked a question. I'm a dumb sales guy. Richard, you're not alone. That's me too. This is the whole reason we did this webinar, is because I didn't fully understand batteries. I honestly, admittedly, I'm going to go through and watch this again. I was monitoring some things, but Richard, just so you know, this is going to be sent to you, and you do have a lot of support at Action Solar. Even if you don't have, even if you're already working with another company, I'm sure they wouldn't mind sharing some knowledge with you. It's what these guys are all about. So feel free to do that. Reach out to me. Most people reach out to me on my socials, but Bobby, it looks like you've got your number there behind you in case anyone wants to reach out about onboarding with Action. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. If you have any questions or want to talk about onboarding, definitely shoot me a message. I'm always here to answer questions for sure. And Jordan and Tristan, any final words?
Just thank you so much for having us. You know, we're really excited to talk about the product and also just share, you know, how we're able to partner with our installers and with everybody in the industry. So any opportunity we have to share that with great minds is really exciting. So thank you so much for having us.
Yes, thank you. And thank you, Sean's on here. Sean, thank you for building this entire program for us to operate on. You're the best.
Absolutely.
CMO of SolarCon, saving my life one day at a time.
No worries. It was a pleasure. You guys all
All right,
did great.
everybody.
Thank you so much for this training. It was amazing.
Thank you.